I have a stylist demanding a pay rise. Salon down the road offering $40 an hour. Does she not know how hard it is to run a business? If we give it all away to a couple of key people that are demanding, then actually you put your business at risk. It takes two to tango in any conversation or any relationship. Why does this always happen to me? Welcome to the Salon Owners Collective podcast. If you are feeling pressured by your team, then in today's podcast, you're going to learn how to reclaim your authority, address their needs, keep your salon running smoothly without giving into undue pressure. Today's episode is empowerment over entitlement, standing firm against your team demands. And today, Joel is joining me on the podcast. Thanks for joining me, Joel.
Oh, so good to be here, Russ.
So in the last week or two, we've been hanging out with one of our favourite owners, and today we're going to call her Jemima. Is that all right with you? So Jemima, we both chatted with Jemima recently, and she messaged me and said, I've got this situation, Larissa. I have a stylist demanding a pay rise. And she sent me this. She sent me a screenshot of an ad of a salon down the road offering $40 an hour. Like, it was really clear on the ad. And Jemima said to me, she wants $35 an hour, but she isn't really performing. I've tried supporting her with a clear roadmap with broken down what she needs to do to grow, but she's a very below the line person. And maybe she's just not a good fit. She's showing me an ad from the salon down the road offering $40 an hour. So I feel like Jemima is not alone in this problem. Would that be fair, Joel?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she's definitely not the one.
Okay. How do you think Jemima should tackle this problem? What do you think?
That's a really good question. The first thing that I think of is what it would be like for the owner in this situation to be experiencing that. You know, sometimes you have these circumstances or these negative experiences that come up and it just kind of leaves you going, far out, why am I doing all of this? You know, like, it's not a great situation to have happen. And I think the quicker that we can shift to a question, the better. And when we're coaching our owners, Russ, as you know, often a good question to ask would be like, why is it that the staff member is speaking to me this way? You know, like, that's a good question to reflect on, to think about, to possibly even write down some ideas around. And in our coaching program, as you know, we often ask owners when they present a problem, whether it's this or something different, we ask them, okay, is this problem about a system that you've got that's broken, not working, not there? Is this problem about the staff member? Like, is it about her? Or is this problem about you and your leadership? And so I guess, to answer your question, Russ, one of the places that I'd like to maybe start the conversation is not about her and not about the system yet, but rather looking inward at ourselves for a second. So is that cool if I speak to that? Like, just in terms of, as the owner, how might I be contributing to or actually mobilizing this kind of behavior?
I think that's a good idea, because the one thing that I know to be true is that we actually can't control or change other people. We only have the ability to look at ourselves and do our side. You know, it takes two to tango in any conversation or any relationship. So the only thing you can do is look at yourself. So perfect place to start.
Yeah, cool. And so I think that's actually like a real step of courage to stop blaming and stop actually, as an owner, sometimes being below the line, and go, you know, what is it that I could do to deal with this? And I think there are moments, not even minutes, but moments in our career where we need to, as owners, as CEOs, as leaders, we need to step up and we need to do the work. And often that's not hard work, it's very smart work at the right time. And what I mean by that is, in a situation like this, You need to get in there and have a very effective, useful, and sometimes hard conversation. Like that is a trigger. Like everything you've explained is a trigger to get in there and have a difficult conversation, perhaps.
Can I touch on that word trigger? Because the trigger actually could be, um, it's triggering. Like, why is she like this? Why does this always happen to me? Does she not know how hard it is to run a business? And like, there could be a lot of triggers that could come up, and it would be very easy to look at her as the problem. Super hard to look at self.
Yeah,
Oh, it's not me. It's not me.
100%.
I didn't do anything. I'm just
Yeah.
here trying to run a business.
Yeah. And look, I want to be really respectful. One of the things that we notice on our journey with the owners that we get to work with is that often when we first come in and we start leading teams, we might even be doing it for a while. But when we actually start to learn about what leadership is, let me give it to you in just like one sentence: less reactive, more proactive. And what you're talking about there is really like the human brain, it wants to blame, it wants to find the excuse, it wants to find the reason why, because you're full of great intent, great ambition, lots of hard work. It can't be you, but actually sometimes it is. And that's not a judgment piece. That's just a, okay, cool, well, if it is me, then what could I perhaps do to deal with that, to make sure it doesn't happen in the future, to move forward? Yeah. And so coming back to my earlier point, um, having a hard conversation or a difficult conversation is really going to be the first course of action.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's talk about the hard conversation because, the first thing for me is like, I don't want to have the conversation. I just want to run away and hide and put my head under in the sand.
Yes.
How do we
Yeah.
tackle hard conversations?
Yeah. So let me just acknowledge that we experience this a lot as like, oh, hey Joel, I'm not really into confrontation. I don't really do confrontation. I'm a little bit introverted. I don't like hard conversations. Like just the list is long, right? Like I get it. I totally get it. And they're called hard conversations for a reason. And just a little bit of a tip is to replace that uh, the anxiety around confrontation with curiosity. Like that's like a direct shift in emotion. Like, okay, instead of going, oh, I've got to have a conversation, I don't like confrontation. Like you're literally creating your own reality there, feeling the confrontation before it even happens. Just replace it with curiosity and go into the hard conversation as a bit of an investigator, like curiously going, what happened? Like almost playing not dumb or being silly about it, but just like genuinely and authentically going, what is it that's happened? What is it that's occurred? Why is it that these things have happened? And just kind of gathering the facts of what has happened and why it's happened. I think it's a really good place to start.
I like that because it takes the pressure off. I don't have to solve anything. I don't have to pay her $40 an hour right now. I don't have to, like, I'm not here to do anything other than just find out the facts. And then I can go away and think about what my plan of action is.
Absolutely. And just let me just take a step back my because I was part of this communication from Jemima out, and the scenario was they were actually out of the salon and received a lot of this via text message and via the manager, etc., etc. Hence the needing to actually go in and hear it from the horse's mouth. That's basically where we're starting, and doing that curiously without judgment, so that you can do this one thing. So you've got the information. Once you've got that information, risk, we're then going to either, if we're feeling really leaderful and onto it and like resourced, we're going to do it right there and then, or we're going to create some time and space between gathering the information and then coming back. But the next piece of the puzzle is to actually evaluate that person's behavior against the culture, against the expectations, against the this is how we roll here as a team. So we're not pointing a finger at the person, we're not judging them as a person and their character and calling them below the line, but just their behavior against the culture is something that needs to be brought to light. The awareness needs to be raised around that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Awesome. Um, And I think that's probably one of the most important aspects of being a leader is creating a culture that supports the business running really, really well without you, and then standing for and protecting that culture with extreme prejudice. Like that is the job of a leader.
I love that shift because, like, now the shift is about I'm protecting the culture of the business and this thing that I'm building, and it's not scrambling to like chase the person and bend to their will and give them what they want. And it's kind of like, to me, it's like I'm desperate to keep this person at all
Mm.
costs, must bend to demand.
Yes.
You're doing the opposite to that.
You're doing the opposite to that, absolutely. And in doing so, I think you actually elevate the magnetism or the attractiveness of being in your care, of being in your leadership, of being in your team, because there's boundaries and there's rules and there's expectations. And deep down, people actually love that because it creates a sense of identity. And people love to belong to something. So if you're a jellyfish and you bend and cave, and it's like she'll be right and you say yes when you really should say no, it doesn't work out too good in the long term.
Yeah, I think that kind of protecting culture, sticking to the systems that you've created for the business doesn't mean that you can't evaluate them and improve systems, but actually you've got strength. Actually shows confidence as a leader. It actually gives confidence to the team that you're a strong leader, you know what you're doing, you're actually got the business's heart, you know, um, in the right place, and that's ultimately the most important thing.
Yes, yes. It's so true, Riss. And just before I throw it back to you, in terms of like we talk about, you, the leader, and then the systems, um, one of the most important things to recognize in one sentence is that if you are held back by a fear of confrontation, like that's okay, that's fine, like that's not a bad thing. But spending 40 years leading people and never dealing with that and never learning like the framework for hard conversations, like that's a crime. Like that's a moral crime. Like you deserve to know how to handle hard conversations. You deserve to learn that skill set so that you can conquer that fear. And so that's my encouragement to those of you that are listening that are dealing with something similar.
Yeah, I love that. There's nothing worse than feeling like you've been held over a barrel. Do you
No,
know? Like
no.
that's a sinking feeling. So if we can wrap up the I stand strong, I'm a confident leader, I have the business's best interest at heart, I'm confident to have a hard conversation, then I think the next thing to solve is tackle the actual kind of the facts is like um can we pay them more? Are they being paid properly? Do I have the right systems in my business to be able to reward people given the current economic environment? Um, and so let's look at the system that you have. How can you pay them more, but not at the cost or sacrifice of your business, your own profit, your own pay of other people, your ability to employ front of house apprentices and other roles? Like if we give it all away to a couple of key people that are demanding, then actually you put your business at risk. So we want to have a system in place that you can pay people well. They know exactly what their next pay increment is, they know how much it is, and they know exactly what to do to get it. Because I think the fallacy is that I can't afford to pay people more. But if we get the balance right, you can always afford to pay people more because the more they earn, the more profitable you should be if we have that system set up correctly. So I always like to think if our people are in commission, they've reached a target, they're starting to earn commission, that is the exact same moment that you start to become profitable if we get this right. And so if we know how to pay them, how to have a structure that they get paid well, we're profitable. Then the next question is, well, what's next for me? Because if we create an environment in the salon where tomorrow looks exactly like today, this is the same shit, different day. Like, how motivating is that? And so, owners come to me and say, oh, I just can't motivate my people. And it's like, well, what have they got to be motivated or
Yeah. Yeah.
for? Or what are they looking towards tomorrow to be motivated about?
Yeah, it's that if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always got. And after a while, that emotion of like same shit, different day, we just call that emotion. An emotion. Like it starts to add up. It really does start to add up. So I love how we've spoken about, the owner what they can do as a leader. And I love how you're starting to now talk about risk, like what can we actually do from a business and a systems point of view to improve the likelihood of us dealing with this in the future, or not having to deal with this in the future, because we have said system in place to deal with this need or demand that staff will naturally have.
I already can tell you how you can earn $40 an hour because I've already told you. So by the time that you see somebody else's ad down the road, it's like, well, I know how to do that. Or I'm already doing that because I'm being really well paid currently where I am. And I think the principle to remember is people will always leave you when they run out of future. Because
And
people have goals, aspirations, and dreams. Jemima, not Jemima, because she's the salon owner. Mary, stylist Mary, might want to buy a house. She might want to travel. She might want to have a baby. She might want to buy a new car. People have dreams and aspirations. And if they look into their future, and when they look into the future, they don't see you being the vehicle to achieving their goals, they're going to look elsewhere. So when they look into the future to their car that they're going to buy or the house that they're going to buy, if you are part of that journey to achieve that goal, they'll never leave. Why would they leave and have to start all over again and take the risk that the next salon will be not as good and not be part of my future? So I think it's to our best advantage to be speaking about tomorrow with our team.
you know that the idea of this system that you're kind of speaking to, risk being in place, like there's a line of thinking, and I'm sure you've heard of it before. It's like it's not what happens to us, it's how we respond to it. And obviously, bad stuff happens, difficult stuff happens all the time. And when something like this happens, there's one owner that's out there that's like, oh shit.
Hey, me again. I just wanted to jump in and quickly say to you, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Now, let me ask you, are you listening to this episode and thinking, I need to find my purpose as a salon owner and start building a community for my clients? If so, I've got something really powerful for you, some powerful strategies just for you. The Salon Mastery program is designed to help you implement the 100K career for your team. You'll learn how you can lead your team to achieve 100K careers. Like, we want to pay our team well and instill the 100K mindset and the 100K motivation. You'll master the systems, the processes to create a 100K career pathway that includes building a 100K day. If we want to know what a 100K year looks like, then we need to know what a 100K week looks like. We need to know what a 100K day looks like. We need to know what a 100K hour looks like. Ultimately, building $1 million salon. I'd love to invite you to come and join me for a complimentary $1 million strategy call. We're going to discuss your business, your role, and explore how you can grow your team and reach that $1 million mark, even when there's a cost of living crisis. So all you need to do is click the Apply Now button in the show notes of this very episode, and I'll ask you a couple of questions, and then you'll jump to my calendar and you can jump on a strategy call. All right, that's enough from me. Let's get back to the episode.
I wasn't expecting this. I don't know how to deal with this. I feel terrible about this. Like, that's the reactive possum in the headlights, like, ugh, caught out. And then there's another owner out there, which is like, oh yeah, great. Okay, cool. Let's have a meeting. Let me sit you down. Let me talk you through exactly how you can experience the very future that you're after. Not in those words, of course, you do that way differently, but it's not what happens, it's how we respond to it. And with a system in place, like what you're alluding to, Riss, I really feel like it puts the owner in the driver's seat, maintains her power so that she can continue to live.
Agree. There are 4 parts to really building exceptional career pathways for our team members. I like to think that we can pay our teams 100K a year. Like, frick, if you can pay a stylist or a therapist 100K a year, but without overwork, overwhelm, and burnout, then you've got the best chance for long-term careers with people. Do you know, like, you can have people for 8, 10, 12, 18 years. My longest one stayed with me. I left before she did, actually, which was kind of funny. But in any case, that's the goal. Now, you might go 100K, what are you talking about, Larissa? Depending on where you are in the world, that may or may not be achievable. But I like to use that as a goalpost. And whatever that is, it's got to be more than what they're doing today. So it might be 60K for you, it might be 80K for you, it maybe 100K. But we've got to have this destination, like what is a really well paid stylist in your area? Let's do that. Like, let's be the business that pays our people so well. But remember, if we can pay our teams 100K, that means that we also are in profit and we are profitable. So this is not 100K for them and nothing for us.
Yes, yes, got it. So that's number
So
one.
number one is like, that is the goal. We've got to set the goal. And then the four moving parts are, do I get a pay rise? The career pathway. Like, they need to know when they're getting the next pay rise and where they're going. So that's number one. Number two, they have to have the technical and tactical skills to be able to do that kind of service. And do you know, I know that we don't like to think of ourselves as salespeople, Joel. Like, I know this, but we've got to have some commercial savvy reality around how we serve our clients, that we're consciously working towards retaining them, to giving them the best service that we can. And the best measure of best service is actually the scorecard is the dollars. And so serving is selling and selling is serving, but you can't serve without the sell, because otherwise we just lose the people. There is an element of, yeah. So I think, as owners, we have to give them those tactical skills on actually how to be commercially viable. So that's number two. Number three is, we actually need to develop our clients, because if we can create a career pathway for our teams, we actually need to create a journey for our clients so our teams can earn the 100K. And then number four is that we need to become, if we want to have 100K teams, then we need to become the 100K mentor. Are you watching the Olympics at the moment, Joel?
I sure am. Night and day.
I know. I noticed that all of us here at SOC last night were watching the rowing. New Zealand just got, we got a gold, and then we got a bronze, and then we got a silver. Like, it was an epic night. And what I noticed about everybody, rowing or otherwise, who won and got a medal, is when they crossed that finish line after they'd collapsed, the first person that they went and hugged was their coach.
Mm.
They high-fived, but they had a coach. They had somebody standing right next to them, cheering for them, teaching them, giving them hacks to be faster and to be better. And that coach is right next to them, cheering them on. The coach is not going, hey, I'm going to pay you $40 an hour, and just pay and pray and go, hey, I paid you $40 an hour. You should go and do the clients. They'll just go out there and say, good luck. Good luck out there. I hope you win. So I think we can learn something from the Olympics, and just like, we need to lead our people on how to be successful so we can give them gold medals.
So true. So true. Love that, Russ.
So those are the four things.
Awesome. So we got some. So Jemima went and did her thing.
So I'm really happy to report that Jemima messaged me just a couple of days ago, and she said, this was her message verbatim: I feel really empowered for staying true to myself, leading and standing for the team and the culture, and not being bullied or threatened to agreeing to a pay rise. I've set out the roadmap for her. I'm being proactive with mentoring her and booking her like a 100K column. So now, if she doesn't step up, I know I've led the horse to water, but I just couldn't make it drink. I'm feeling really good. I'll keep you updated.
How good.
Yay, Jemima.
How good.
That's
I
good.
just love that. I'm so happy.
So I'm super proud for her. I'm super proud that she feels proud, like she feels good in herself. And that, like, now it's up to Mary to step up and do the work, and she can have the gold medal too.
Yeah, like Mary's got the choice, right? Like, she's empowered with choice now. She either steps up or steps out.
Yeah, and I think that's a piece that we have to feel comfortable with. And as we become better employers, become a better brand, then we can get more confident in our ability to employ better quality people. And I think that kind of doubles down on that confidence of being able to stand strong to our true culture.
1,000%. So happy for Jemima.
Jemima, we're very proud of you. I think you know who you are. All right. Well, Thanks again for joining me on the podcast, Joel. If you want to assess your current salon situation, then really being clear about the different parts of your business that need improvement, because we all need to improve some parts of our business at some time. We can't all be perfect all of the time. So I want to offer you the opportunity to step through a business assessment, especially designed for salons. There are 9 parts of a salon business that need to be working really well. And if you can get all 9 working, growth is inevitable. The challenge with growth is growth breaks things, and that's okay. It's part of the cycle. So I just wanted to invite you to a strategy session, and together let's create a bit of a strategy plan for you to implement. Let's find out what those gaps are. And if you do that business assessment first, then it means we can have a really meaningful conversation. Help you grow, scale, and of course, help you become the 100K mentor. So thanks again for joining me, Joel. Thanks for joining me on the podcast, and look forward to connecting with you same time, same place next week on the podcast. Ciao for now.